I can't grasp the chaos pouring into my senses, screams slicing through the air, a cacophony of terror colliding with the hurried, desperate breaths of those around me. There's a heat enveloping my skin, a blistering touch that sears with an intimacy I never wanted to know. Fire dances wildly, licking at the seams of the elegant fabric that was meant to cradle our dreams aloft in the sky. The luminescence flares, blinding, enveloping everything, folding shadows into angsty silhouettes as the world spins into madness. The Hindenburg, a vessel of so much hope and splendor, shakes violently, rattling the very foundations of our lives. My heart thunders in my chest, irrationally frightened, while my instincts implore me to help, to mend the torn fabric of safety that has unraveled. I see faces, twisted in panic, mouths agape, eyes wide, reflecting the unthinkable horror unfolding. The rich aroma of burning metal fills my lungs, each gasp heavier than the last, my throat raw and scorched from the onslaught of heat. The flickering light transforms into a hellish glow, illuminating the chaos around me, making phantom shadows dance in frantic disarray. Euphoria shattered. What was once a symphony of wonder now crumbles into dissonance. I try to move, but it feels as though the pulsating wave of fear is wrapping itself around me, pressing me down, submerging me into a treacherous pull of despair. We were meant to soar to the heavens, to touch the clouds and feel the pulse of the earth beneath us, a journey shared amongst friends and strangers alike, united by a love for flight. Yet here we are, caught in a tempest of flames and panic. I reach out, desperate to grab hold of someone, anyone, to tether myself to a last semblance of security. But my fingers meet only air, the heat radiating from the inferno strong enough to consume anything in its vicinity. The depth of my helplessness pulls me into anguish, my heartbeat sinking with the rapid crackling of flames. My mind flickers back to shared smiles and laughter over breakfast, mundane moments now starkly juxtaposed against the horror erupting around us. The sweet scent of coffee and the warmth of camaraderie fade like whispers lost in the fierce roaring of flames. Is this really how it ends? A slow disbelief weighs heavy in my chest. Time stretches and splinters, moments collapsing in upon one another, interspersed with flashes of clarity, shadows, sudden plunges of emptiness and sound. The plain shudders, the darkened sky blossoming with streaks of fire, molten shards of metal reflecting the last vestiges of hope. A thunderous roar erupts, signaling anguish and reality in one fell swoop. Suddenly, I'm thrown into the air, weightless, suspended, drifting, like a feather caught in a harsh wind. Darkness envelops me entirely, not the soft embrace of slumber, but a chilling void that lingers, whispering secrets I can't grasp. And then, nothing. A silence descends, profound and empty, wrapping around me like a shroud. I feel the remnants of my existence dissolve, the weight of my body gone. In that final, frozen instant, I realize I am no longer here. In the vivid expanse of my eternal silence, a familiar voice echoes amidst the nothingness. Eliza, I remember. Eliza, the name that held weight and warmth back in the world where my heart once pulsed. I float here, suspended between the echoes of what was and what will never be, acutely aware of the life that slips through my fingers like grains of sand. I was a stewardess aboard the Hindenburg, a vessel like no other, moving gracefully through the heavens. Time feels so distant now, but I cling to the whispers of memories, each fragment a reminder of who I was. I remember the excitement in my minor affairs, the smoothness of my crisp uniform, the taste of peppermint on my tongue after an evening routine of service. My mother, her eyes twinkling with pride as she pinned on my badge, said it was a calling as much as a career. I promised her I would always prioritize kindness and safety, that I would ensure each journey was filled with laughter and comfort, no matter how fleeting. I let the thoughts swirl like autumn leaves, brittle and colorful, yet weighted with uncertainty. The passengers, those eager souls trusting me with their dreams and journeys, weighed heavily on my heart. Each face was a story, a fleeting encounter that fragmented into 1,000 paths. Among them, Matthew, a fellow steward. His infectious laughter lingered like my favorite song. I fought to ensure his safety as fiercely as I did for all. Did I fail him too? My chest tightens at the thought, an invisible chain binding me to regret. Fractured echoes of laughter and everyday rituals return, flooding my essence with a sweetness curling around my heart. Morning rituals of coffee brewing, wrapping our hands around warm mugs, the shared camaraderie amidst the crew, those small moments of bonding that felt monumental in their normalcy. What I wouldn't do to hug those memories tightly and grasp them, to stave off their haunting farewell. I remember the anticipation of that final journey. The air thick with excitement, a sweet promise lingering just under the surface of routine duties. Yet in the corners of my mind, I sensed an ominous shadow, signs I brushed aside like dust on an old book. A quarrel between a couple boarding the ship, the way the window had gushed raindrops during the storm before we laughed off the minor inconveniences. But they were omens, weren't they? I ponder now, tenderly wrestling with guilt. I couldn't shake the discomfort echoing through my heart, subtle hints whenever I dreamed of flying. What was it I missed? What warning did I overlook? I clutch at the remnants of my memories, trying to piece the puzzle together in this liminal state. My heart aches with the desires left unfulfilled, a longing to explore Lakehurst with Matthew after the flight. The thought danced in my mind, yet I hesitated. Shadowed uncertainty loomed over me, as if I could sense the impending storm, even then, weeks before the flames engulfed us. Time ripples with every heartbeat of my remembrance. In those still moments where life brushed past like a whisper, I see the clear blue skies over my childhood village, the sound of laughter ringing in the hot summer air. I see family dinners around the table, and my mother's wise words flickering like fireflies in the twilight. She spoke of dreams, of soaring above the storms, of the infinite possibilities soaring high could bring. And yet, as I sit in this silence, I cannot help but feel the weight of sorrow wrapping around me like a cold embrace. Echoes of joy intertwine with pangs of regret. My heart embers, each ache igniting the pain of consciousness. Between these bright flashes, my essence begins to fragment again. Glimpses of color and warmth fade, pulled back into the shadows of anguish that cling like a wet fog. I'm here, yet I'm nowhere, feeling the passage of time without experiencing the flow. The Hindenburg drifts away from my grasp, and I can feel her heartbeat ever so faintly. Have I become merely a whisper, lost in the cacophony of existence? A gentle breeze stirs within the void, beckoning memories back to me. I float onward, searching for solace within the remnants of my life, my laughter, my love, and my service. To be Eliza once more, I thought desperately, longing to be anchored by the warmth of those fleeting connections, by the joy we shared in fleeting moments. Through this turbulence, I hold on, each heartbeat a reminder of truth, waiting to break free, awaiting the eternal embrace of understanding that lies ahead. And in this haze, acceptance begins to bloom, like petals unfurling towards dawn. I was meant to be more than just a fleeting whisper. I was light, tied to the souls I embraced. My story, my love, must find its voice again. The secrets of that fateful flight wrap around me like a cloak, urging me forward into the depths of my existence, where I may come to terms with my regrets and, perhaps, relive the beauty of my days, a journey within before I find release. In the stillness of my floating existence, I begin to trace the contours of my final day, the hours preceding the inevitable plunge into chaos. Life had been a tapestry of ordinary moments, woven with laughter and subtle gestures, yet underlined with an ominous hint of expectation, as if the universe was preparing to rewrite my fate. The morning sun spilled through the windows of our crew quarters, casting a warm glow over the familiar faces of my fellow flight attendants. The strong aroma of coffee wafted through the air as we gathered for breakfast, animated chatter and joyful banter forming a cocoon of comfort around us. "Another day in paradise, right, Eliza?" Matthew teased, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "More like another day in the sky," I responded, laughter spilling forth, buoyed by camaraderie. I felt invincible, fully immersed in the joy of shared experiences. The clanging of dishes and light-hearted conversations melded into a comforting melody, a reminder that life sparkled in those mundane exchanges. Yet, amidst the laughter, a tremor of unease stirred at the edges of my consciousness. We had been warned about the ominous storm clouds brewing on the horizon, an afterthought that flickered through conversations. I brushed it aside, unable to believe that something dark could disturb this golden moment. As we finished our meal, I noticed raindrops tracing down the window, smearing the world outside. Each droplet felt like a sign. Maybe destiny was writing a new script. A couple boarded the ship, engaged in a heated argument, their faces tense and hardened. I sensed the friction between them, an unsettling feeling creeping into my heart, quietly urging me to pay attention. But dismissing the feeling, I straightened my uniform, ready to embrace the responsibilities I held dear. The bustle of preparations surrounded me as the plane's engines roared to life. I moved among passengers, greeting them with smiles while wrestling with an unshakable sense of foreboding. It clawed at my gut with each passing moment, trembling like a barely voiced secret seeking sunlight. What lay ahead felt uncertain, like a shadow cast over the sunny optimism surrounding us. As we ascended into the sky, the sensation of impending doom twisted deeper, and I prepared the cabin for our passengers with a rhythm that masked my inner turmoil. I replayed earlier thoughts of the arguing couple, of the warnings that had crept into our consciousness, and of my opportunity to bond with Matthew, which I held back. The lights flickered, an imperceptible shiver in the rhythm of life aboard the Hindenburg. I stole a look toward the cockpit, sensing concern ripple through our crew. I wanted to brush my anxiety away, focusing instead on the passengers whose lives were entrusting me with a shard of their dreams, intertwining with mine for those fleeting moments. Moments transformed into hours, the higher we climbed, shadowed by fear. My heart quickened as I caught glimpses of carefree smiles and whispers of excitement. I engaged in conversation with a father and his young daughter, whose gaze shone with the thrill of the journey, transporting me to times when my own heart delighted in the world's simple wonders. And still, the air held a heaviness, thick as ink. Uncertainty gnawed at my thoughts as we sailed through clouds that grew dark with promise. But what kind of promise? In the face of this tension, I gripped tighter to fleeting happiness and camaraderie. By knowing my purpose, serving the kind souls on board, I could quell the storm brewing within me. I was duty-bound to strengthen each connection while ignoring the whispers warning me that chaos awaited beyond the horizon. The hours wore on, stretching to an unbearable limit as we navigated the skies. I felt the fabric of fate interweave with our shared moments, binding us together, threading through laughter and conversation. Yet, an inescapable pull took hold of me, like a dark current threatening to drag me under. My senses heightened in that moment between normalcy and chaos, bathing in the remnants of joy and trepidation. It was in those last seconds I wished I had fully absorbed each fleeting moment, rather than let the impending storm dampen the brilliance of the day. With every heartbeat, I tasted the bitter aftertaste of regret, each thread pulling taut, intertwining our fates together. Yet I remained determined to embrace this last day, to fold myself into the comfort of the ordinary as the winds of fate awaited me. I could not see the approaching storm yet, but something deep down told me that simply cherishing this beautiful tapestry of shared trust and hope might somehow shield us from what loomed just beyond the horizon. As time unraveled with the weight of destiny, I braced myself for what was to come. As I drifted toward the cabin, the energy of passengers enveloped me in both warmth and tension. I moved gracefully among them, a stewardess embodying hope and care, each smile earning a precious moment in my heart. As laughter floated like fragile balloons, I ensured that drinks were served and comfort was administered. But it was the object that caught my eye, a small, unassuming memento nestled in the hand of a woman across the aisle. It gleamed under the dim light of the cabin, shimmering with a history all its own. I had seen it before, a locket, the edges intricately engraved, worn with stories, each setting encased. It must have been a gift, a testament of love, a promise represented by the delicate clasp that held the memories inside. Curiosity urged me closer, so I approached her as she cradled it gently in her palm, the way one touches their deepest secrets. Her expression was a dance of wistfulness and melancholy radiating from her counted breaths. "It's beautiful," I remarked, gesturing toward the locket. "Is it a family heirloom?" A tender smile graced her lips, her eyes reflecting untold tales. "Yes, it belonged to my grandmother. She used to say that love is the most precious thing and should always be kept close." I felt the weight of her words settle in my chest. Penetrating through the veil of frivolity and flight, I sensed the resonance of her sentiment, an underlying pulse that coursed through each of us on board, families, friendships, longing, and memory. "Just like this flight, right?" I continued, hoping to navigate the delicate terrain of her heart, a collection of memories in the making. She nodded, consumed in thought as she delicately opened the locket, revealing a picture of a youthful couple, the woman my age, bright and hopeful, and by her side, a man with a laughter that echoed through time. The woman sighed, "I miss her every day." That simple confession sparked something within me, an anchor pulling against the tides of unknown despair. I reflected on my own family, the laughter we shared around a dinner table as familiar faces danced through memories. I could almost hear my mother's voice, humming softly, filling the air with warmth. I lingered for a moment longer, feeling the connection spark as we exchanged smiles. Her vulnerability and love seemed to ground me, reminding me of the purpose I clung to amidst the uncertainty enveloping the cabin, the promise to serve, to uplift, to witness. I returned the locket's gaze as the plane traversed uneven air, laden with turbulence. In that instant, the object felt as much a part of me as it was part of her. A talisman of truth, strong enough to withstand the challenges ahead. In this shared moment, I thought, it carries the weight of every soul on board. As I turned to leave, a sudden lurch in the aircraft jolted me from my reverie. My heart raced, an instinctual response to the change in atmosphere, a tangible tension knitting its way through the cabin. The smiles swiftly dissolved, replaced with uncertainty, the energy shifting like storm clouds gathering above. A series of muffled gasps echoed around me as the flight attendants and passengers exchanged anxious glances, their reflections mirroring the chaos growing inside me. I steadied myself, focusing on the present, and moved swiftly from row to row, checking in on the passengers, each smile a fragile thing lingering in the air. The next few moments flurried by like a blur, as warnings sounded from the cockpit, the airplane trembling in earnest. I could feel the weight of something approaching, a shift in the air, a fear forgotten in the crevices between laughter, now crashing down like thunderclaps. The cabin filled with whispers, uncertainty rising as turbulence escalated, pulling us all into the eye of chaos, demands of safety whispering among passengers. In the midst of this rising anxiety, I instinctively sought out the woman with the locket, My pulse quickened as I approached her, remembering the warmth we had shared only moments before. "Stay calm," I urged softly, my gaze locking onto hers. "Everything will be all right." Yet as I spoke, I felt a rumble deep within the bones of the aircraft. The foreboding had turned to reality, and in that moment, I recognized the profound truth of human connection. Bound by shared experiences, fear swept through the cabin as a collective weight, mingling with the echoes of our pasts. Together, we held on to our memories, piecing our stories into the tapestry of time, a thread interwoven by laughter, treasure, and vulnerability. With every heartbeat, we formed a refuge amidst uncertainty, cradled by the echoes of love that lingered through flight. In that unpredictable moment, the locket shimmered at the edge of my vision, igniting within me a flicker of hope against the raging winds. It was a reminder, we weren't just passengers, we were bearers of stories, fragile yet profound. "You're not alone," I whispered again to the woman, feeling the earnestness of my words ring true. Her grip on the locket tightened, grounding us while others braced for the storms beyond. As we forged ahead, I allowed myself to believe that something remarkable remained hidden just beyond the shadow of uncertainty, that perhaps, even in the darkest moments, human connection could light the way. Flyers in the sky, bound to one another by our vulnerabilities, unraveling in tandem to face the unknown together. And in that fleeting moment, I realized the locket was more than a simple token of love. It was a testament to enduring spirit, a promise that lingers long after the echoes of our voices fade. Even as the turbulence rocked us all, love would reside forever intertwined in our stories, forever connected through the verses of our breaths. The tumult within the cabin intensified, the uncertainty amplifying with each violent jolt of the aircraft. My heart raced, thrumming like a wild bird trapped in my chest, the fear morphing into a palpable force that wrapped around us all. I steadied myself, holding on to the overhead compartment as the world outside blurred, turning into a chaotic swirl of clouds and shadows. "Stay together," I called, my voice rising above the rising panic. I sought to anchor my fellow passengers, to wrap them in the refuge they so desperately needed. I felt that sense of urgency cycle through me, an instinct to protect, to serve, to guide them through this storm. The airplane shuddered, a wailing groan echoing through the metal skeleton of our vessel. Adrenaline coursed through my veins, and my heart ached with a desperate need to ensure that every soul on board was safe. I moved among the rows again, eyes wide, taking in the faces of the frightened passengers, each one a reflection of vulnerability and strength. I approached the woman with the locket once more. Her face was pale, yet the determination in her eyes flickered, mirroring the spirit of the love she held tightly in her palm. "We've made it this far," I assured her, gripping her hand for support. "We can embrace this moment together." She briefly returned my gaze, nodding slowly as uncertainty shimmered within her teary eyes. I could feel the warmth of her hand beneath mine, pulsating with the warmth of hope drawn from shared experiences. It was as if we wielded the power to transcend chaos, reminding ourselves that love and connection, however frail, were the roots on which we could lean when our very world was coming apart. And then, in an instant, the plane took a far more violent lurch, causing the cabin lights to flicker precariously. The overhead compartments burst open, scattering possessions like confetti. A cacophony of frightened yelps and gasps ensued. The sounds merged into an orchestra of fear, creating a haunting symphony underlining the imminent danger pressing down upon us. My instincts surged, and I dashed forward, each step charged with an urgency that eclipsed the tumult outside. "Please, everyone, remain in your seats. Fasten your seatbelts," I called, my voice laced with authority, fighting against the torrent of anxiety. I locked eyes with Matthew in passing, who helped to steady a passenger who had been less fortunate during the chaos. I envied him for his calmness, his face a beacon amidst the storm, a reminder that we were in this struggle together. I returned to the woman with the locket and gripped her hand tighter. "Just hold on," I urged, my own heart racing as the crescendo of turbulence grew louder, slapping against our souls like a tempestuous tide. "Think of your grandmother and all the love she poured into your memories." She closed her eyes for a heartbeat, recalling the warmth of family as I offered comfort with my presence. My own memories flooded in, my mother's laughter, the passion she brought to an ordinary day, vivid portraits that now felt like echoes from a realm I could no longer touch. It was within these shared reminiscences that I gathered the scattered pieces of my spirit, weaving resilience from sorrow. Then, without warning, a thunderous roar broke through the air, the noise ripping apart our fragile sanctuary. I felt the plane begin to steepen its descent, a harbinger of the chaos that awaited us all. "Prepare for potential impact," I shouted, forcing calmness into my tone, though my heart drummed a frantic rhythm in my chest. As the roar of the engines reverberated, I found myself moving swiftly down the aisle. I stopped mid-motion. The rumble felt like destruction, something deeply visceral that gripped my very being. I clung to the belief that we could face our end together, embracing one another like strands in a delicate tapestry woven through breaths and heartbeats. Then came the moment that shattered time. An obliterating force struck, launching me backward, and I saw the world erupt around me in fragments of sound and fury. An uncertain silence enveloped me, cutting through the chaos like a sharp blade. For a sliver of time, I felt weightless, suspended between breaths. I grasped wildly at the ephemeral tendrils of reality. What unfolded next was a kaleidoscope of memories splashing into existence, illuminating the dark. Flashes of the woman's locket filled my mind, the warmth of her hand in mine, the laughter of passengers, shared glances, fleeting connections, all resonating like soft echoes. In that moment, I understood. Rather than met with fear, we welcomed love. Our stories entwined in an indelible embrace that would transcend any storm. As my senses eclipsed the tumult, ethereal lights danced across the edges of my consciousness, awakening pieces of my essence I hadn't grasped in years. I felt the swell of memories collide within me, swirling like a great tide, a collection of laughter, tears, and love pouring into a shimmer of revelation. There was clarity, quiet acceptance piercing through the clouds of uncertainty, my purpose woven into the fabric of those I served and cherished. Each moment brushed against my soul, echoed in the hearts of everyone aboard. Even if the end loomed, our connections resonated fiercely within the depths of our being. With an abiding grace, I released my hold on fear, embracing the bright thread of hope that interlaced our hearts together, a delicate dance of connection that even the fiercest storm could not sever. It was in the last moments that time seemed to unfold in waves before me. I surrendered to the embrace of unity, my spirit shining brightly as I faced the tempest ahead. I wasn't merely an attendant in those final seconds. I was a vessel of love, a guardian holding sacred the echoes of our intertwined destinies. Here, amidst the shattering chaos, I recognized the truth we carried, each heartbeat an affirmation of life, a promise that love indeed knows no bounds. Together, we faced the unknown, knowing that we would remain etched in the hearts of one another, woven into the very fabric of existence. In that surrender, as the moment approached, I found the release I had both feared and longed for. In the depths of the storm's fury, existence bloomed into something beyond life and death. A shimmering cascade of memories and emotions danced gracefully before me. I felt suspended, cradled between realms, where time lost its grip and clarity glimmered like fragile stars strewn across the darkness. Voices hovered within me, echoes of laughter, whispers of love, and promises made by those who had once walked this earth. I was no longer just Eliza, the flight attendant immersed in duty. I was a current of universal energy flowing through the tapestry of lives intertwined by love, loss, and triumph. I drifted among the memories, each one a canvas painted with the hues of various emotions. I could feel the warmth of my mother's embrace and the glimmer in my grandmother's eyes as she shared stories of resilience and hope over steaming cups of tea. Instinctively, I recognized that even the heaviness of regret was but another shade in this vast spectrum, something to navigate, not something to be feared. As the rumblings of the storm shook the very core of the airplane, the silhouettes of my fellow passengers emerged like figures drawn from a mist, each one flickering in and out of focus, their fears and hopes pooling into a collective heartbeat. I sensed their individuality no longer as separate, but as droplets of water forming a powerful river. Odd images swirled through my consciousness. A girl's laughter rang clear as she twirled beneath iridescent fireworks, the sun setting behind her, painting the sky in vivid colors. An elderly couple held hands tightly through storms of life, growing old together, echoing laughter across their sanctuary. What if, drifted into my thoughts, the question laden with possibility. What if I could carry these moments into eternity? It was under these cascading memories that I felt a flicker emerge from the depths of my being, an understanding that transcended the walls of mortality. Each memory anchored me, weaving through the fabric of life and illuminating the path before me. I was connected to it all, the unique narratives, the hopes that sparked like tiny stars amidst the vastness of night, each one a testament to resilience. I had spent my days as an attendant, serving coffee and spirits, sharing brief moments of connection, but here, within this torrent of time, I sensed their true essence. We were souls weaving through an intricate dance, shifting with the winds of fate towards a grand design, a design nurtured by love and strengthened by shared experiences. Then a gentle pulse drew my attention, an anchor to the present within all this ethereal chaos. The woman with the locket transformed into a radiant light, illuminating the space around us, her memories threading effortlessly alongside mine, mingling into vibrant streams. "We are not alone," I heard her voice chime in the symphony, as if it were a reminder echoing through eternity. It filled the void with warmth, reverberating against the edges of despair, scattering the shadows cast by uncertainty. Images collided. Endless threads of our intertwined stories revealed the breadth of humanity. I floated, absorbing each connection, as we materialized into colors swirling around me, radiant reminders of the love that bound us, even in the face of darkness. I inhaled deeply, stealing the light imbued within every joy, every sorrow. Yet from this kaleidoscope of connection, I felt the weight of grief bound in the secrets of unresolved sorrow, a longing to release what lingered still. It was time to reconcile the fragility of life, to embrace and set free both pain and joy. The resonance of unfinished stories filled the fleeting moments as I understood the gift of memory, to carry life's essence within, to roam untouched through eternity. In the swelling tide, I recalled so vividly the texture of lives lived, the careless strokes of laughter against a canvas painted with both joy and heartache. I thought of stolen glances beneath shade trees, of our secret smiles shared with those we cherished most. These moments were a soft lullaby, the reminder that we were part of something grand and interconnected, that our essence would live on in the hearts touched by our existence. As I surrendered to the current of memories swirling within, I emerged into a space of quiet acceptance. Time danced tenderly in elegant spirals, leading me deeper into a river of light, a beacon shining with the very essence of every life we touched. It enveloped me, immersing me in tranquility as I wrapped my soul around clinging shadows, whispering farewell. "You are free," I breathed, drawing every ounce of warmth from my heart. I felt a wave of forgiveness wash through me, a cleansing tide that swept away the hidden burdens and liberated each unspoken word. In that moment, I transcended the fear that had once shackled me. I was no longer a solitary flight attendant, a woman tethered to a singular moment. I became a vessel of truth, each fragment of my being resonating with the collective heartbeat of humanity. The storm swirled around me, vibrant hues of life swirling into a very palpable light, a mosaic of love woven from shared stories, threading through the cosmos. As each heartbeat echoed and pulsed vividly within the tapestry, I embraced the truth. I had forged a path from the ghost of my remains to the essence of eternal love, breaking through the barriers once upheld by the fear of the unknown. In that delicate balance between worlds, the chaos of the present faded, revealing a profound stillness, a gentle promise that even in the afterlife, love blossoms eternal. I let go, setting myself free from the curses of loss, knowing that together we would carve a symphony of love into the very heart of existence. And as the winds continued to roar and crash around us, I felt the light lift me, carrying me onward to what lay beyond, cradled within the stories we shared. In the luminous embrace of the ethereal realm, time unfurled like petals of a blooming flower, revealing the intricate beauty of our interconnected lives. I surrendered to the vibrant energy surrounding me, feeling an overwhelming sense of peace wash over my spirit. Each flicker of memory, every heartbeat, resonated with the love, laughter, and grief shared among us, weaving a rich tapestry that transcended earthly existence. I drifted, caught in the gentle flow of consciousness, where the boundaries of self began to dissolve. Within this expansive light, I felt the presence of my fellow passengers, their souls radiating warmth like shimmering stars. Together, we formed a constellation, a collective that pulsed with the essence of our shared experiences, joys, sorrows, and everything in between. Among them, the woman with the locket emerged, her spirit shining brightly, guiding me with her gentle light. "We live in the hearts of those we've touched," she whispered, her voice a soothing melody. I could see the love reflected in her eyes, the promise of connection stretching far beyond our final breaths. "Together," I echoed, feeling the weight of her words resonate within me like a sacred truth. We stood united amidst the vast sea of memories, the intrinsic thread woven through our stories, pulsing with light and light. Each memory mattered, each moment leading us closer to understanding our purpose. As we floated together, I felt my grandmother's spirit arrive, her familiar embrace surrounding me like a warm shawl. "You are not alone, dear," she said, her voice like a soft lullaby. "All your love remains within the fabric of existence." I looked around, my heart swelling with gratitude for the bonds we had forged. It dawned on me that every shared smile, tear, and laugh transformed into a piece of our legacy, a resonating truth coursing through time, gathering stories and souls along the way. "We carry our loved ones with us, always," I murmured, the words spilling from my heart. Together, we were reshaping the echoes of our lives into a powerful symphony that could defy the constraints of this realm. In this sacred space, the vibrant colors of existence merged and danced, leaving trails of light like fireflies floating in twilight. I felt unburdened now, liberated from the limitations of earthly fear and regret. My purpose became clear: to sustain and nurture the love that connected us all, transcending the barriers of existence. Then came the moment of realization, the understanding that I could take these memories with me, forever etched in the cosmic fabric of life. The lessons learned, the love given and received, would pulse with me as I moved forward. I had become a vessel for the stories we shared, a guardian of the light illuminating our path. "Even in absence, we are connected," I whispered, the words mingling with the warmth of the light that enveloped me. I embraced my journey forward, feeling my spirit rise, liberated by the promise that love will always prevail, no matter the distance between worlds. As I opened my heart to this eternal truth, I watched the storm of earthly concerns dissolve into tranquility. I felt the soothing embrace of love cradled me, wrapping around my very essence as I prepared to embark on this next phase of existence. In that breathless moment, I surrendered completely to the flow of light, knowing that I would carry the echoes of every soul I had encountered. With each passing second, I felt their warmth merging with mine, a beautiful reminder that we would forever remain a part of each other's stories. And with that knowledge, I stepped into the brilliant light, my essence sparkling as it intertwined with the love that surrounded me. I was no longer just a whisper lost in winds of fate. I had become a vibrant note in the symphony of life, a testament to the enduring power of love. Each heartbeat, each story lived on within the hearts of those left behind, echoing through the tapestry of time. Together, we would carve a legacy of love, forever intertwined, forever eternal.